hello to everybody's favorite podcast about somewhat obscure 2000s X-Files clone. I like how Amaris Wool of Water. Introduce yourself first.
And I'm your oldest MB, Ludovico. It's almost like I did that joke once before, but no one heard it because I screwed up the recording.
Yeah,
Let's go!
Yeah, this is the Christmas edition of Weeklings. There's no Christmas episode, so just pretend everybody that Santa met the mole people or something. Pretend we have like Santa hats. Okay.
Yeah, there's like Christmas energy in this entire episode. You're gonna feel it.
Yeah, we're gonna feel the Christmas energy.
Yeah, let's just get to the summary of this episode because it's a juicy one.
It's an interesting one. Let's go. After discovering a video where a man is put into an underground tunnel where a news report in New York, the freaking school decides to take a road trip to the Big Apple to investigate the matter. Then they meet Chloe and her novice policeman quest. Chloe is the same of her self-employed friends, but lets the gang crash in her place while they do their thing. While exploring the underground tunnels, they meet a group of homeless people who live in the tunnels under the city, where Derek decides to try grilled water.
They then all get busted by the cops and land in prison until Chloe shows up to bail them out. Chloe and the rest of the group have a confrontation, but in the end she decides to help them out. They find out about the myth of mole people and Hollow Earth, and after another delve into the underground tunnels they manage to capture a mole person on camera. The episode ends with Chloe dumping the policeman because he refuses to believe the footage caught by the Freaky crew isn't a hoax.
So, like always, we have a segment where we first talk about we say our thoughts on the episode. Do you want to start, like always, Ludo?
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting episode. There's, like we already foreshadowed, this is basically where Freaky dynamics of the characters kind of piece together, become like we know them for the rest of the show. And on the other hand, there's just some pacing issues with the episodes. There's a lot of time spent in underground tunnels, flashing around with flashlights and searching for monsters. But besides that, there's some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, my thoughts on it. Those are things that we're going to talk about. First, I just want to give my thoughts on this. I think this established pretty much the Freaky formula. Like we have Dalek as being basically not too angsty. I think the first episode was too nice, but that's kind of the person who do anything, the very jokester, the clownish, buffoonish type that annoys people.
In a way, it's basically like they layered the Derek from the first episode together with the Derek from the second episode, and now we have almost like a real character. Yeah, because he still has like a heart. He's not completely evil, but he also does all the like annoying people and being a jokester.
Yeah, it's a thing of like he's very much like a level woke type, where he annoys people and everything, but at the same time it do shows that he has some type of morals. The episode is as a founding start to what we like about Freaklings. It's interesting. It has its issues, particularly. First, the mole people only show up for like a minute in this. Just there's a minute of mole people.
Yeah, we don't actually get a lot of mole action. It's mostly focused on the search for the mole people.
And in particular, there's some stuff like. There's a lot of stuff where they chase in the sewers, and you can barely see anything because it's just basically them running in a dark place.
Yeah, especially if you watch the low quality rips, there's gonna be like issues to read certain scenes because there's just a lot of like waving around flashlights in the dark.
Yeah, it's just so since like the most you can basically only watch Freaky in like low quality whips. Even the best quality just doesn't look good. Another thing I want to mention with this episode is it's class politics in several ways. We'll get about to how this episode treats homelessness later. But I just want to mention like Chloe is, because this is basically whole episode.
It's a very Chloe heavy episode. She's like the central. She causes the central confrontation in the group by being a bit ashamed by her lower class, self-employed friends.
Yeah, it's a thing like the episode doesn't interest because you have the policeman who's like a middle class policeman guy who sees. It's a bit thing with a lot of detective and like a mystery fiction where you have the snobbish guy that's middle class that doesn't believe him, and then the advocates are seen as like buffoons. And the episode kind of does that, but then it reveals, they're smart. It's a thing a lot of mystery fiction does, particularly like comedic one. These characters are all flawed and everything and buffoonish, but at the same time they do know and do care about the people they do. They do want to help.
Yeah, it's very much. I think that's like part of why this establishes the Freaky Link crew so well. Because you basically see the central part where they are very much like a bit slobberish and a bit like slackers, but they also know how to do their job, and they actually care about their work.
And in a way, it's like the episode frames Chloe pretty well because it doesn't show her as like just too snobbish. It's like she's trying to get a job and trying to have a normal. So, and in a way, for as much as she cares about these people, they are still kind of going in the whole way, and later on she understands it. I think in a lot of mystery fiction as well, that they skeptic normally just as they go on, they start to embrace these people because they start realizing that maybe just the weirdness of these people or what they want to be or just what they appreciate.
Yeah, they basically get introduced into like another world or another perspective to see the world.
Yeah, and I think this episode does a lot. Chloe's a cat we're gonna talk about more. It's her arc is very messy, mostly because those episodes she says nothing. It's a whole thing we're gonna just explain later on. That's bizarre.
Yeah, and she also gets like into trouble for working with the Freaky Links crew later. Yeah, to give a small spoiler here.
She has not. She has a very unfinished arc that feels like a very like arc made for us. It feels like something that will later be examined like Freaky Links season 2.
Yeah, when the show got good.
When they meet gags and the one on the gags and there's a Squid shows up again.
Yes.
And the mole people are there as well.
They all have a super group.
And they investigate like the ghost of Tupac.
There's a crossover episode with Scooby-Doo and Korn.
Yeah, and they let them meet Supernatural. And it's gonna be good.
Yeah, as you may know, listener, that sadly never happened. But we can all dream. Like, Disney could decide tomorrow to pick Freaky Links back up and give it the second season. Yeah, it always deserved.
Yeah, they just gonna introduce it into the Marvel universe, and
it's gonna be on Disney Plus. It's gonna be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Who needs Mandalorian?
Yeah, we'll have the perfect episode, so that has a greater plot. Here's Freaky Links. I do think the Scooby-Doo thing is honestly funny. It's a joke, but I do find this show feels very inspired by Scooby-Doo, honestly.
Yeah, that's really a parallel that I didn't think about a lot until like today, when I realized that it's pretty obviously like that there's a bunch of parallels here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And also with them like being young, not like highly professional people.
So this is still a very 2000s early Fox show, and the class politics in this episode is better than most. At the same time, we're gonna have to talk about how this episode portrays homelessness.
Yeah, before we get into the deep mole people lore itself, we're gonna have to talk about the homeless people who also get like called mole people by certain groups.
So like we are two Europeans. We never been to America, and especially New York. So we're gonna try to cover this especially sensitive word, but we don't have the full perspective, of course. Like, basically, the thing with New York is ever since it was made as a city, because of American infrastructure, in particular the infrastructure that there are a lot of cities would just be made with a lot of like underground paths, a lot for like transportation, of course. But as infrastructure got all disinvested, etc., etc., those places still existed, but not for like infrastructure and stuff like that. Which then, as with a lot of cities in the urban world, there's a lot of homelessness in New York. Particularly, I know of a lot of friends I know from New York actually talk about the homelessness questions being discussed in there, just because of how many people are homeless, and especially with housing issues. So because of that, for years and decades, there's been the what's called like the mole people of New York, which is basically just people who live in the underground system of homeless people who live in the underground system of New York.
Yeah, the show pulls like a weird thing there where they acknowledge that there are people living there, but then they basically use that as a red hook to introduce real mole people also exist, and it's definitely questionable.
There was a very good documentary, Darkest Days, by I can't remember. It was a person named Singer that goes into these people, and like these type of things exist. I think Venice also I think has a similar thing, right? Of homeless people living in the underground or something. I think you told me about it.
Which place? What?
Venice.
Venice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Venice. Now that I think about it.
There's some Italian city, if I remember well. It's happens, of course, because like when people like don't have houses because of like austerity politics, neoliberal politics, no rights of housing, of course they'll go to basically these large infrastructure networks that themselves have been abandoned by the similar politics. Because people have homelessness. And
yeah, a lot of those like ventilation shafts, they basically have heating that comes from the subway system, so that way you don't have to die in the winter.
Yeah.
When you live in those shafts.
And like we're gonna talk this about the Hollywood stuff, but the Hollywood stuff does good. It basically went into the subway homeless people, because there was this idea. Basically, a lot of people take the whole they mole people that live underground, and then you have the mole people in New York, and get it, the homeless people, the weird mole people. You can see it a lot on like a lot of media that takes place in New York. Most famously, the Mole Man from the Fantastic Four Marvel comics, who literally is a mole man who lives underground.
Right. Yeah, I never read those comics, but it seems obvious now that you say it.
Yeah, like not to go, but like Marvel comics in the 70s when it started was, of course, it's famously for being in New York, and like those comics, once you read them these days, are very like localist, like wisdom about a lot of things, and the Mole Man was extremely a reference to the homeless people, probably. Like this is the thing, especially we're gonna talk about this episode, like, and just in general, there was this boyization, kind of dehumanization of homeless people in a lot of media as the inhuman, and they don't literally say in Freaklings that they are the mole people, that they are.
No, they basically make a difference between like the almost troglodyte mole people with like white faces and animal features, and the homeless people, which they still don't portray in a very positive light. Like there's the main homeless person there is a guy who has a love and probably a hate tattoo on his hand, which I guess is a reference to either Night of the Hunter or Do the Right Thing, and I don't know why that reference is there.
A big New York, Bobby. I think it's Do the Right Thing, because I know.
Is Do the Right Thing in New York?
Spike Lee's from Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah, then it makes sense that it's a reference there. But yeah, that person, first off, they die, and second off, they steal a bunch of stuff from the protagonists.
Yeah, there's this thing of like homeless people as an object of gawking of like, wow, these weird people and thieves.
Yeah,
And
there's a very exploitative scene where Derek eats rats, grilled rats from the homeless people.
this I don't. I think a lot of the episodes is interesting, but you can really see like we're gonna talk about these freaky links. It gets better political later on, but the early episode of this is very much like 2000s Zodi Fox. It's very much like a look back into 2000s politics of that.
It
era.
very much has that like almost apolitical or centrist attitude where it doesn't swing extremely either way. Like it has both stuff that right-wingers would love to see or hear and stuff that left-wingers would love or see to hear.
It feels very much
in
like
the
that.
same episode.
It feels very much like that part. I won't compare it. Like it's not as bad as this, so it feels kind of South Park here sometimes, where it just has this apathy. Particularly in the early episodes.
I don't know if it's like apathy, that it's more like very sanitized writing, where they never want to go too far with anything.
I just feel because this was that era, like early 2000s was kind of the era of not caring.
Yeah, and
so-
but the thing is, like the Freaky Links, there's the weird oxymoron because they write them to be slackers, the Freaky Link people, but also they actually really care about their job and their friends and their relationships. So they kind of want to have both. They kind of want to have them to be cool and don't care and also care.
I think it's just like with Manson, just this kind of like they wanted to modernize like a certain part of youth culture and like just culture in general. And then, but they also wanted to write a supernatural show. So those parts of fighting against each other sometimes, and you can really notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the homeless part is probably the most exciting part of this.
Yeah, because it's sad, because the end lesson is basically that the police head person doesn't believe the working class people, even if they have evidence. So the lesson from a class perspective isn't the worst at the end, but it still has all the issues with homelessness and how it's portrayed.
Yeah, I think it's very much just it's bad like most of these shows, but at sometimes it is one of those shows. I don't want to particularly mention. I think we should probably now go into the mole people part.
Yeah, we definitely need to get to the mole people part of the episode. So do you want to tell us a bit about Hollow Earth theory?
So Hollow Earth theory, it's basically like a lot of people, particularly like this is a podcast by two very online queer leftists for online queer leftists or like online people who left in politics. So most people here are familiar with Flat Earth as a thing. Hollow Earth is basically Flat Earth's more weirder cousin.
Yeah, it's basically even. It's not more absurd, but it's a bit more obscure, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's not as obscure.
It's Hollow Earth. It's Flat Earth for hipsters.
Yeah, I was actually gonna do the same joke. It's I was into Hollow Earth if anybody was into it, but yeah, like so Hollow Earth started as an idea of so let's think. So after 19th century, after like the. So here's the thing, the Renaissance was very important to science and progress, but a lot of the time there was also this aspect that some people forget, that there was a lot of because there was a lot of supernatural and interest in pseudoscience. A lot of even the most enlightened thinkers had some combinations of that and pseudoscience.
Yeah, that's you can find it in a lot of like literature from that time. That there's like a lot of talk of magnetism and pseudoscientific concepts generally.
Yeah, but particularly I don't want to particularly I just particularly the most famous one of the most famous cases probably is Aleister Crowley, because that's basically his entire career then.
Yeah, but that was a bit after the fact.
Yeah. I'm just saying for one most important. It was still a bit after the fact. So Hollow Earth comes from John Cleave Sims Jr. He was an army officer, trader and lecturer, and basically introduced the idea of the Hollow Earth. Was basically his idea is very detailed, but basically his idea is there's 5 spheres around the world basically. In the outer world, in the atmosphere. First, which basically makes the world hollow. And beneath that hollow world, there's livable space. And the most important part of this is there's the mole people. Like that time, it was very popular to think about that. The idea of hollow world was actually very popular, more so than flat world actually. Because there was this interesting idea of like, are there people beneath us? Are there people? And
yeah, this was around the time where we explored the North and South Poles, so people still weren't sure about a lot of stuff when it came to the Earth and its form.
Yeah, so because of that, there was a lot of interest. Particularly, Sims was a big advocate of trading with the more people. There was actually, I can't remember which American president, but there was one of American presidents that in his platform he made that he got elected and died before that happened. But he went on being like, oh, if I'm elected, I'm gonna meet the mole people. I'm gonna do an expedition. There was just this interest of these underground people, and Sims theory very much puts the idea of there being like superior beings, which like. Most people listening to this podcast know the issue, the idea of like, oh yeah, the secret superior beings that we're gonna meet and trade with.
But yeah, the way the show handles that is that they, instead of mentioning the real John Cleave Symes, they invent a character called Christian Symes, which is not only just bootleg John Cleave Symes, he also invented the pneumatic subway under New York that was built in 1870s, which was totally built by another person in real life. So that's very like questionable how they like do a bit of revisionism, kind of rewriting history, and then making the conspiracy person look better than they are.
Yeah, I don't particularly understand what the heck they're doing that, because they do say it's pseudoscience, but at the same time it's like, I guess they were afraid of getting attacked by the flat world head, not the flat world, but the hollow world heads.
Yeah, I don't know if they were afraid to as far as I know, that Symes guy was also pretty interested in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So maybe they didn't want to platform someone who's legit has very, very bad ideas.
This is an issue with a lot of supernatural fiction. Well,
especially if it goes into how's it called? Local folklore and conspiracy theories.
That's I think supernatural fiction, and especially just myths and fantasy. It's very interesting to me, and especially I always love the supernatural as a way of discovering my own queerness and everything. But conspiracy theories, as much as they're fun to dunk, we have to be honest and say they're basically most always related to racism, transphobia, etc. They're related to various forms of bigotry. Because often they are related to the secret being that's superior to us, so these people who are inferior because of any sort of.
Yeah, the next step after that is always something that has to do with the Jews.
Yeah, it's I'm reminded, I don't remember which podcast, but there was a podcast I listened to where the host was talking about one of the reboot seasons of X-Files, and there was an episode where they have an Alexon type, and there was an issue with that episode because they proved the Alexon type wheel in the show. And it's there's an issue with that because you cannot set as much as supernatural fiction is interesting and I like it, and I'm not saying supernatural fiction is bad or anything. It's you have to be careful because those stuff you can lead to basically going legally distinct Alexon, he's white
Yeah, you can imply the wrong things like they do in this episode where the conspiracy Hollow Earth guy gets first, when they mention Hollow Earth, they describe it as a pseudoscientific movement, and then later they basically imply that he was right. So what they're implying is that the pseudoscientific movements can actually have truth in them, which it's not completely wrong, but it can lead to things like, well, okay, in that case, it's not that so bad when I believe in flat Earth and I basically hate real science.
It's like it can be a slippery slope because it can literally lead to stuff like, oh yeah, you're right. It's like, let me just post my 2000 Medium post about how the zoos are evil actually or something.
Yeah, it's basically that process where you watch conspiracy theory videos ironically on YouTube, and then a few months later you're actually believing them.
You're like, it's extremely like a weird thing. This episode, like, more people. This episode, the connections with new. There's already an issue to connecting it to homeless people already, because it's a very like gawking moralization. Even if it's not that like, even if they don't actually make the homeless people more people.
Yeah, they also don't like literally acknowledge that it's maybe not cool that these people get like conflated with monsters.
Yeah, I do think I think I just want to mention a couple more things with Hollow Earth. Just two things. First, I want to mention the second icon of Hollow Earth, Silas Terra. He was an alchemist who apparently once basically, from what I understand, he basically once got struck by lightning while working as an alchemist, and then basically claimed he saw God, and that God said the Hollow Earth is real, and then basically went to Florida and made like a cult commune there.
Oh right, I think I wrote up on that too. You sent the link to me a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think my favorite part is that he died because he went in a war fight with like 40 people and just got hit by 40 people. And then when he died, his like grave was removed by like a whirlwind.
Nice, that's some symbolism right there.
After there's the 50s movie, the Mole People that we watched.
Yes, and that's very interesting. That also shows like that makes actually a separation where there are white people with their weird Mesopotamic civilization that live under the earth, and they have like a weird slave race of people that look like mole people and are called like that.
It's weird because they do turn out to be the bad guys, but there was a lot of stuff like, oh yeah, the superior white people that are Sumerian.
Yeah, and then it ends up with them getting all murked by the mole people because the white man that discovered their underground civilization freed the mole people, and the mole people, they seized the means.
Yeah, some of the things that this takes place in like Egypt, even though Sumeria was never in Egypt.
Oh no, it is in Middle East. It is in the Middle East. It's like in Iraq or Persia.
Okay.
It says it never states the exact place where it is, but it's like in the Middle East.
Okay, but yeah, I think this episode it's interesting because it's established all the formula, but at the same time it's very much establishing just the weirdness. Like it feels very much Freaklings doing some more stuff, being so sexual for the trying to do a hit and do it well, but at the same time it too has its issues of trying to find its swagger. So let's do the whole Hollywood stuff, the more people, etc., etc. Actually, you do want to talk a bit about New York, about the thing you said the Hollywood guy was confused with.
Sadly, I don't know a lot about the person who built the pneumatic subway, but what I can say is that the pneumatic subway was basically the Hyperloop of the 19th century, because they built it, it was very expensive, and it didn't run for very long, and it wasn't very efficient.
What was it meant to do, actually?
It basically transports with vacuum capsule from A to B underground with like 22 people in it. So it was like a very primitive subway.
Oh, that seems cool. Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
what's also interesting is that the pneumatic subway tunnels, they get mentioned. They are a plot point in one of the Ghostbuster movies, and in one of the later direct to DVD American Tail movies.
oh god, I should watch that. I'm gonna watch that for the subway law.
Yeah, I didn't research too deeply into that, but it's still an interesting little detail.
Yeah, like not to go into this, but this but like a lot of cities, like New York, like a lot of cities, a lot of infrastructure of cities when subways being constructed, and a lot of things. There's a lot of like what would basically be considered kind of weird these days because infrastructure was still in its early days, the subway in Wales. So there's a lot of like mono-way styles of like this is obviously a scam. Now in like 100 years after it.
Yeah. In retrospect, it's always easy to see that maybe a pneumatic subway system wasn't that good idea. But what's interesting is that pneumatic subway system inspired the postal tubes that are apparently were in service in New York until 1950, and they were a pneumatic system where you could send letters in a tube through that tube. So that's a very cool thing.
Yeah, that's very cool. Do we want to talk about anything else?
Yeah, I'm thinking about what's left in the lore department, or the
I guess
whole Hollow Earth mole people thing.
We could talk about New York as a city, maybe.
I don't know. Nobody of us was there.
Yeah, we're two Europeans.
Yeah, we can't really go deep into that. We should maybe if we had a guest from New York, we could maybe talk about that.
Yeah, I watch a lot of movies with New York. There's a lot of very good Spike Lee and Martin Scorsese movies.
I saw Home Alone 2, so I know what New York is like in real life.
Home Alone 2 with a cameo by everybody's now favorite, now not present anymore, fascist.
Kevin Alone in New York, yeah. I was scared by the pigeons, I remember that. They actually do a similar thing than they do in this Freaky Links episode, where the homeless people are scary at first and then you realize they're just people.
That's actually the Christmas movie now. Isn't that in Christmas or something, actually?
Yeah, that's around Christmas. So, hey, we talked about the Christmas movie on here.
What's our favorite Christmas movie?
I don't have a favorite Christmas movie.
I really like the Donald Duck Christmas special, Excuse Me Duck, from like the 60s or 70s.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
The Christmas Carol. They play I don't know if they play it anymore, but Disney Channel podcast used to play that everywhere, and that was one of time to wake up to see this. It's a very good special.
So yeah, maybe less to talk about than I thought with this episode overall. I'm looking through my notes right now there was one funny Derek line. At the start, he has the incredible observation that all expensive food is served on a bed of something.
On a
bed of rice, on a bed of lettuce, on a bed of something. And it was just such a galaxy brain take that I had to make a note of it.
That just reminds me of Food Weather.
It kind of establishes that he's that he's working class and he doesn't understand fancy food.
There was a I can't remember if it was a tweet or a Waypoint podcast. There was a Aston Walker from Waypoint once talked about basically, I think somebody was he was moving to a new house, and he posted on Twitter something, and somebody was like, "Where's your food bed?" And he was like, "What's a food bed?" And it was just a bed where you put food in. Which then just they talk then that became a meme, and now I'm just talking about food bed.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know about the deep food bed meme.
Yeah, it's I think it was the thing was hills of had to eat food in or something.
I have some really interesting weird notes here. Like, I just wrote my idea I had while watching it here, and that's Derek really should have had a nose ring.
What?
Like those, those nose ring, not a septum where you get it in the middle, like those nose ring where they were a lot of men in the 90s had those nose rings.
Yeah.
Like the right or left side. And I just think if Derek had one, that would be so radical and extreme at 90s.
Yeah, that would be very 90s. Derek should have like they should have introduced the gang with like Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana or something.
There's one song in this. We're going to talk about the music after this, but there's one song that really reminded me of a Nirvana song with the chords it used.
Okay, do we have anything else?
I'm looking through it right now, but I think there's one more thing I saw. Wait. In one of the segments where they just interview random people on the street, one of them says Ronald Reagan lives in the sewers. And it makes no sense at all.
I'm reminded because the episode of this is called like Edith, Keeler Must Die, and there's somebody in that interview section that just wears a sword with the episode name.
Right, and they ask what this is about, and then he's like, go away.
That's
so maybe that's some kind of production insider that we don't understand. But there's also one more thing. When we first watched this one, I thought they mentioned the rapper Warren G. But you know what they actually referenced? The American president Warren G. Harding. And they mentioned that Derek apparently owns the dick, the penis of Warren G. Harding. It's implied. They don't say the word penis, but they. I think Jason calls it a finger, and then Lan corrects him and says it's not a finger.
Oh God! I think that's because there was a couple of years ago. Stuff I think it was Warren G. Harding's like basically his old-timey version of Sextus would would find.
Yeah, he was an incredibly horny guy. That's what I found out when I googled, and yes, I googled this, Warren G. Harding, penis.
Yeah, he's just like this weird horny guy.
Yeah, he's just a weird horny guy, and he had names for his penis and all.
Oh, no, I forgot about
and I guess that was just Freaky Links making a joke about that, about his horniness.
I know. One more thing. The episode title of this is weird because was the reporter called Edith Keeler?
I don't think so.
Because I looked this up, the only Edith Keeler that at least Wiki gives me was a German chess player. I don't know. I don't think
it's not. I don't think it's based on a real person.
Yeah, I don't think Wikilinks doing like German chess jokes.
No, I think that's a bit deep cut, even for Freaky Links. Yeah, I think that's all I have in terms of notes. Except for that poor part where Derek screams Jason because press X to Jason is what I have to comment here.
I guess we did not talk a lot about Jason and
Jason and Lan. Yeah, Lan has some of the most airtime in this episode. She gets more dialogue than before. Yeah, this and maybe the Harbinger episode might be the episodes where she gets the most screen time.
Yeah, I don't actually think Lan gets an episode for herself, so this is mostly what she gets, and you can basically see some fleshing out of a character.
Yeah, they imply in this episode again that she's really into Derek.
Which is interesting because in the end there was also the stuff with Chloe.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to build is some sort of love triangle here.
I mentioned this before. I joked once with a friend talking about that. There's a whole thing once about some fan of some manga getting angry that the protagonist of that manga got in married to the one girl they love, and my response to that was just like I wish most writers just found out that being poly is a thing.
Yeah, I know. Most love triangles could be solved very quickly if somebody just realized that they could be polycule.
Yeah, it's I guess it's because I'm also thought it's like I just see this and I'm like I am not everybody wants to be poly and that's fine, but at the same time like you literally could just fix this by being a polycool and
look, I made the same mistake in my real life, so I can understand these characters that they don't think about it, they don't realize it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Lan gets a lot of interest. And you can see her being more part of the gang and everything.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the episodes where she's most proactive.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because in the other episodes she's more just a tech person. She doesn't even have like an episode for herself, right?
Yeah, there's no Lan heavy episodes. It's basically she's like a support character.
Yeah, I guess Desert Squid, but not really.
I think she's not in the investigation there. She just helps from home.
Oh no, I was thinking. I'm not gonna spoil Desert Squid, but I was confusing. Who got
Yeah. That's Chloe.
That's Chloe. Okay.
That's Chloe, I think.
Jason is very much like building his characters, like Derek's friend.
Yeah, he gets some more like. We don't learn his like family situation or anything, but I think they really build up here a bit his character as like the sidekick that also makes some jokes on the side. He's basically very much typecast. He's very much a typecast 2000s black character sidekick.
Yeah, it feels very much like they were just going well. It's like we're gonna talk to this when it's gonna be like the loyal episode and other things, but the non-white characters in this very much typecast into support roles.
Yeah, totally. Like Jason gets his own episodes, but Lan never gets one, so that's really.
Even then, Jason's own episode. We're gonna talk about it.
There's a lot happening there.
I hope you like ghosts of like old colonial people.
Yes.
Black people, because God.
They kind of play the ghost card a lot in this show.
Yeah, they like them some ghosts, but yeah, I think the cast is very much like this. You don't really get we don't have a ghost battle yet, so sadly no ghost battle for this episode.
No, the brother gets brought up, like he gets mentioned in one scene, but it's mostly where Chloe and the rest of the group have their confrontation about how serious the investigation is and everything.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go to music.
Definitely, yeah. Let's talk about those tunes.
So I think I'm gonna start with the biggest person. There's I'm so very surprised with this. For the first person to talk about is going to be Cat Powell. So Cat Powell actually, I was very surprised when that she was in the soundtrack for Killings. She's one of the big like 90s indie people, like in the indie folk alley and everything. She did music with people like Dave Grohl, Lady Weller. Also for people, she would. Handsome Modding Project, which we're going to be talking about when it's in the app episode by D2300 and the other Funky Homo Sapien. Very much part of that 90s indie scene, part of that era. Critics, I think it was like one of the first times critics created the term sadcore for her music, which is like, it's basically just very sad emotional music.
Yeah, so the word was a thing even before Mew people caught on to it, or the 4chan people who talk about fashion.
Is that the fashion term?
I think they use it for fashion too, at least like the core denominator. So I can imagine there's like a fashion style they invented called sadcore too.
Yeah, but it's sad emotional music. It's created by like critics talking about her work. It's very much like that. I listened to it. Not my favorite of the 90s indie people, but it's decent enough. I like it. It's very like emotional folk music with inspiration from punk, blues,
The I don't know which one the hip hop instrumental was, but the hip hop instrumental was very good.
The hip hop instrumental was by let me actually look.
It was like the second or third track in the episode.
By a Live Human.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
Live Human, like let's talk. Live Human on like a 3-piece instrumental, like a hip hop ensemble from ensemble that make like jazzy instrumental hip hop. It's very good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
The music, it's very good actually.
Like when rewatching it, I realized like, wow, that's actually a pretty cool beat.
I'm very a fan of like instrumental hip hop with jazz samples are very good.
Yeah.
It's they I don't think they still put out work, but that's the word checking out as lesser known work.
Oh, also the indie musician we talked before. What happened to her?
Oh, she's still doing music.
Oh, she's still active.
Yeah, like the thing is, Cat Power, from what I understand, is still very doing music. Like she has a album this 2 years ago, 2018.
Wait, is this the first episode where we have an artist that actually still exists?
I think some of it's cool, but this like it's a big number. Yeah,
Took us a while.
So
So far, if you're involved with Freaky Links as a musician, you probably don't exist anymore.
Yeah, but she's Cat Power is still very popular in the scene and stuff like and does music and everything. I haven't listened to her new stuff, but I imagine it must be a bit decent still. But yeah, third album is gonna be first Infinite. This I find it interesting. Infinite is a Canadian rapper from Ontario, Toronto. That was part of the group Ghetto Concept. That seemed to be a kind of known-ish Canadian rap group. Got 2 awards at like the Canadian like Grammys, with more regional to where just Canadian acts. Most famous, he did 3 vocals for the soundtrack to Street Fighter 3. Third Strike, which is a very good soundtrack, just in general. It's very of its time, but it's very good, like hip hop with some dance aspects. Very.
So is his track on the episodes the one that plays towards the end when they do the research montage?
Yeah, it's Take a Look.
Yeah. That's a pretty decent like 2000s rap track.
Yeah.
And it's very fitting, I guess, for like the mentality of the show, because it's a bit about like changing your perspective and realizing that there's more to see.
Yeah, the soundtrack to this you can. I don't it's honestly kind of interesting, because at first I was like, when you point out there's a big kind of rural urban divide in this episode, it kind of interested me, because I was a bit curious why Cat Power was in this, because it's more of an indie folk direction, but makes sense, like there's the hip hop and then the more focused the nation for the more urban aspect of the class part of this. The class aspect of this.
Yeah. I think they start with the more indie rock style music, and then the middle and the end have more of the rap as soon as they're like in New York.
It's interesting. Another thing, if not, I saw this. He did a remix of a song that most famous. He had the Canadian icon of rapping, Snow.
Yeah, I'm gonna resist to make the lick ya boom boom down sound.
Now, the one-hit wonder white guy who raps in Jamaica.
Yeah, the Canadian who made Informer and likes to act like a Jamaican guy.
And who isn't the classic reggaeton song by Daddy Reggae version of Informer from last year.
So actually 2 people who still, I guess, have a career.
Oh no, Infinite seems to have retired.
Oh.
I found his tweet and he seems to say that he had retired.
Okay.
But I guess he still is alive and everything. I guess he's just still doing other things now. He was in a documentary about Canadian rap and stuff like that.
Cool.
So there are two knownish people like this time. And funny thought the bands was like English indie band that still seem to be around.
Huh.
We look at their site if you remember.
Yeah.
They still seem to do around things. I don't know if they put out like a new album or anything, but for like indie, like English British stuff, it's seems fine.
Overall, this has like better music than the second episode, I think.
Yeah, it makes more sense thematic. It feels more well. It's decent enough. I think it will. The soundtracks. We're gonna talk about some more interesting people later on.
Yeah, it definitely gets more interesting. But do we want to wrap this one up?
Yeah, like always. You can find me on @Squid1 on Twitter. School of What on YouTube, Patreon, Twitch,
and you can find me on YouTube. No, I'm not on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, Ludovico_LTD, and yeah, next time it's gonna we're gonna talk about some dinosaurs. And with Confederate soldiers, I think. So it's definitely gonna keep getting interesting and being interesting. So have a happy New Year, everybody, and see y'all next time.
Have a freaking New Year. Bye.
Closest thing you got to a dead president is Miller Fillmore's finger in a jar back home, boy.
It's Warren G. Harding.
Good?
And it's not his finger.